Hey, party people, it's Cliff. And it is a late start to this morning. I just got some McDonald's. And you know what McDonald's doesn't have? And that's okay. They don't have mayonnaise packets, for the for the burgers. I don't know why. It is what it is. Man, it's funny, don't watch. There's entire YouTube channels devoted to debunking, flat earthers. There's one YouTube channel, one guy I follow, and all he does is just talk about the flat earthers and debunk them. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is the world we live in, where, on the one hand, people who are disillusioned or delusional, and they don't believe the things that they see and hear. They don't trust other people. They think the world is flat, and it's like, okay. And then you have the other people who are basically like going through all of the evidence, going through all of the math and the science and the methodology in order to basically say, like, you guys are wrong, and the experiments that the flat earthers do, prove that the earth is round. So it's just a big waste of time. It's the same as the salesman, as the old saying says, like, selling snake oil, or selling you blinker fluid. I think there's an unfortunate thing happening, but I kind of wanted to put it into a light that's this way, right? Okay, let's imagine, right, that just in LA there's 20 million people, and out of those 20 million people, you have a certain percentage of those people who are not well in the head, right? They're down on their luck. They're not, and then you have a certain percentage of people who are like way above, right? Well, let's say you have 1% of 20 million. Actually, let's make it easier. 1% of 10 million, right? Which is, I don't know, some number, 100,000, right? I can't math. Don't quote me on it. But let's just say out of 100,000 people, you have like 1% of a population is something ridiculous. Like, especially when you have 8 billion, it's like, what? 1% is 8 million? Like 8 million people? It's not 80 million. I don't know. But look, 1% figures are very small. But out of that 1% figure, you have a lot of people, right? And let's just say that out of those 8 million people who are not well in the head, who don't believe science, 1,000 of them like believe the world's flat, and then let's say 100 of those 1,000 people, make a YouTube channel, and then let's say 10 of those, YouTube channels are popular. Well, now you as an individual are watching YouTube, and if you fall onto a flat earth person, then you're going to watch the next 9 people who are also flat earthers. And then if you have 9 people who make a 10-minute video, right, about flat earth, you're going to watch 90 minutes worth of flat earth videos. And then because you've said, oh, well, I've watched 8 or 9 or 10 or 15 creators, they all say the world is flat. And it's like, well, yeah, you do, because it is impossible for one single human being to acquire and listen to all the knowledge of those 1,000 flat earthers, or those 100 flat earthers, or those 10 flat earthers who are making their YouTube channels. And so the impression you get is, oh, well, these 15 people online are saying this one thing, it must be true for everybody. And, well, that's just not the case. I always find it fascinating, because what's been popping up in my YouTube feed is more of the Artemis 2 like blogs that happened before the mission. Like, the crew went to Lockheed Martin and looked at the hatch that Lockheed Martin was building, and like he went through all the different like little components, and like, and there's 2 people who are specifically there to like oversee the engineering and quality control of just the hatch. And then you're talking about like the rest of the rocket, and like, the chemical engineering that goes into like the solid boosters, and all of the knowledge that came previous, the reason why things happen. And you realize that if you have that, if you hold that in your mind, that it takes thousands and thousands and thousands of people all having the same goal, all having the same dream to come together in order to make something happen. It's the same with movies, it's the same with film, it's the same with, like, you know, people making your cell phone and designing the new cell phone. And it's the same thing with everything that you see around you. Like even my McDonald's that I just got, like, you know, some ad wizards in some room somewhere probably figured out how to get the beef from the cow into the burger. And you just got to realize that you're part of a human community that is not just part of your idea, and it's not just part of, like, your thing. And the reason why, like, flat earthers, you know, via entertainment get so popular is because, one, people are, like, watching this content because it's crazy and it's ridiculous and it's insane and it's insanity, and they're watching it for entertainment. But two, they're also, like, the algorithm is basically like, you know, it's a what is it, a hamster wheel, you know, you press the button and a little food pellet comes out. Like, that's what the algorithm does. And so if you're a person that is susceptible to those ideas, and, you know, I guarantee you're not watching this video, that's for sure, because I'm boring. You know, I'm a boring looking person on a boring drive to work. And in a way, like, you think you have to take in, you have to make a judgment call based on everything, not just what a few people say. And the whole idea is to take different snippets of this person's idea and that person's idea and then put it together. And I also say, like, make your own conclusions, but also understand that your own conclusions might be incorrect. And if you accept the fact that you're incorrect, which is one of the videos I did before, which is, like, you know, saying that I don't know is, like, the first step to wisdom. When you say that I don't know, I want to learn more, then somebody who's watching Flat Earth Video Guy can be like, okay, all right, I see what you're saying. You believe the world's flat. All right. I see your point. I got it. Now, what else? What other evidence? What other things in the world, you know, either, like, leads to that or doesn't lead to that? And pretty much everything does not lead to an Earth being flat. So, but hey, you know, like, you know, out of the percentage of people that are normal in the world, there are people that are very that are not right in the head. And I speak that from very personal experience, like my sister, who was what these video series were for. It was for her to get to know me as a person so she can watch the videos and not, you know, we watched a movie yesterday, friends and I. It was great movie night, and it was Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Great movie. Hit the nail on the head about, like, people getting involved with, like, AI and, like, phones and, like, you know, just droning out and being like whatever. And heck, I'm even contributing to the problem, you know, in a way, because I'm making a video and I'm sharing it online. And nowadays, like, nobody cares about you. You're always replaceable, as they say. So it is the world in which we live in, which is a massive world where multiple things can be happening at the same time. And I suppose that's it. That's sort of the lesson. And is the phone drooping? The phone looks like it's drooping. There it goes. I don't know. I'll tighten the things up eventually. But, you know, for the most part, like, just that's in my opinion, that's how you prevent yourself from being susceptible to all of these folks online who kind of say bullshit and saying like flat Earth. It's like, all right, well, you know, and it's kind of like, if flat Earth worked, then the navigation systems for aircraft would be different. Like, you could actually go and say, like, okay, well, I'm going to take off here, or I'm going to, you know, go this way, right? if flat Earth worked, then, you know, then I forget, the Carl Sagan had the really great one about like how you prove like Earth isn't flat. It's basically you have a stick here and you have a stick like, you know, 1,000 miles away, and you look at the shadows at the same time of day, and then you record that information, and then, you know, you can basically say like, well, this shadow is shorter than the other shadow in the other place. You know, therefore, like, you know, the Earth must be not flat. If it was flat, it would have these angles, right? By using math. The flat earthers don't want to use math. They don't want to see the rocket go up. You know, they're talking in their vans, like down by the river, of being like, blah, 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 blah. And it's just hilarious. It's like, look, it's entertainment. That's another thing. Like everything you see online is entertainment. It's there to, it's like you got to figure out like what kind of entertainment you want to watch, you know, that makes sense. That I believe that there's no such thing as news. There's no such thing as like a learning video. There's no such thing as a there's no such thing as a video that is not there designed to entertain you. Oh, we gotta go up a little bit away. This guy had his door open. This other guy has his door open. What's going on? That's funny. You always got to watch yourself out in LA. You never know who's going to have their doors open. But look, in any case, you know, when you understand that you're part of, you know, a community of people that's a small community, like within your own community, and you realize there's like millions and millions and millions of other people out there in the world that are doing all these kind of cool, crazy things, like one, you just realize that what anyone says, even when I say, look at this car is amazing, but you realize that you just don't know, like, you have to have a way of thinking and a certain set of ideas and a certain set of beliefs that combine, so that way you can accept what somebody else is saying, but you can also be like, whoa, 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 okay, I get what you're saying. That's fair, but I don't know, you know, like, let me figure this out, you know? And that's another thing too. It's like, you know, I think there's the part at which people will like only search for stuff that like validates their opinions or validates their claim. I forget what like the terminology is. But you got to look at everything, right? You got to look at all sides, like all news articles, like how are they saying it, and interpret it in a way that is going to be like grounded in reality, grounded with, you know, not just facts, but with like the scientific method, those ideas. And I guess there's a part of me that, you know, I get frustrated when, you know, people are just like basing it off of beliefs. But anyway, I'm at work, you know, for now. I hope you guys enjoyed, because I did. So I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.